LGP, une formation LGP qui a positionné les jeunes Français Victor Martinez également, avec un tranquille, 169. Il y aura cet été celui qui monte en compétence 4 l'année dernière et qui est une des révélations de ce Monaco
Le début de saison, c'est pas super de la saison de Peyronie, avec la voiture numéro 33 du Motorsport, il s'élance ainsi de la 4e ligne.
La macchina è sicura, quindi ma turni neanche ora. Dai giù di sera che...
De la même équipe qui est mexicain, 19e place sur la grille pour le Grand Circuit Rougier sur Tech Motorsport avec un record 87. Il aura à ses côtés Christian Munoz, habillé par Adrien Valles, la numéro 54, 21e position en français Thomas Bauer qui part très loin avec la numéro 23 de l'équipe des One Racing. Il sera accompagné d'Eliseo Martinez avec la voiture numéro 53. Il est espagnol et roule chez Adrien Valles. 23e place pour Christian Hahn avec la numéro 56. Du team Anthem, numéro 43, ça qui vient d'origine marocaine. Ensuite, on se retrouve avec Naiki Razak, la numéro 23. Novalak est sur la terre interdite de la par les aspirants, les Untitled le garçon, le Jackie Orman Racing, et c'est envie de Formula Motorsport qui s'est lancé en dernière position, la condition de 12, la lumière justice, pilote pour Peyronie, et la voiture numéro 84, voilà pour le première de nos épreuves pour le programme de ce 76e Grand Prix de Monaco.
Yes, just continuing the great position, sitting in 11th place, Thomas Maxwell from JD Motorsport, the number 62 car, that's the Australian, and beside him, in 12th on the grid, is Alexander Martinez, number 42 from Russia. 13th on the grid, Oscar Piastri, another Australian, lining up top half in number 41, and in 14th spot behind his compatriot Alexander Spolyar, also from Russia in Tech One Racing. Number 22. 50th on the grid, Richard Bachou from the Netherlands, the Jersey Tiger Racing, 50th on the grid, and 60th on the grid, number 85 from Mexico, Raul Guzman. 17th on the grid, Xavier Gonzalez, racing with Adrian Paris, number 52 from Spain. And 18th on the grid, Axel Martinez, also with the 17.
Hello and welcome along everybody to this fantastic venue, a real opportunity for these young drivers to thrive and to enjoy the experiences, the unique experiences that are offered here at Monaco. We are part of the Grand Prix weekend. It is a Formula One racing weekend and the Formula Renault Eurocup is here for 2 races. The 4th event of the season, round 7 today, round 8 coming up tomorrow. The grid there is ready and set to go, and we have a slightly different layout to the usual grid formation that we have at most rounds, because there's only 1 qualifying session at Monaco rather than 2, 1 for each race. And so for tomorrow's race, the fastest overall driver from qualifying, which was Charles Milesi, got a new track record. He's going to be on pole position, and everybody from that faster group lines up on that side of the grid. But for today, it is the quickest, it's the driver from the second quickest group that's on pole position. So Alex Peyronie is going to be lining up on pole position. There he is to the left of your picture in the MP Motorsport car, the Australian number 32, and he is becoming a bit of a maestro of street racing, because a few weeks ago around the streets of Pau, also in France, he was twice victorious. He says he's not sure what it is about street circuits that seems to make him go so well. He wishes he could apply that everywhere, but for some reason it just works out for him, and he set the second fastest well, not the second fastest time overall, but he was quickest in his group. As usual in Formula Renault, one of the groups was slightly quicker than the others, but it was mighty, mighty close. In that group, Alex Peyronie was just 8 thousandths of a second quicker than Victor Martins, the RHGP entrant. And in the quicker group, Charles Milesi, who got the new qualifying track record by 1/10 of a second, he was only 8 thousandths of a second clear of the Chinese driver Joseph Kaufman Racing, Iffy Ye. So Milesi and Ye separated by 8/10 of a second. Peyronie and Martins, I beg your pardon, was separated by just 3 thousandths of a second. So for this one, it is Peyronie that lines up on pole position for MP Motorsport. Charles Milesi, who got his first victory in the championship last weekend at Silverstone, lines up second. Then on road 2, we're going to have the driver you're looking at, Victor Martins, in the number 4 RHGP car. They had a crash at the early parts of qualifying yesterday at turn 1, Saint-Devote. He wasn't the only one, but they got the car fixed back out, and incredibly, even though it wasn't quite right, he managed to get the second fastest time in his group. Iffy is the championship leader, and Yates starting 4th on the grid for this one. He said that he got held up slightly on his best lap in qualifying yesterday when the car went straight on down the escape road. He had to brake early, and that might have been the difference between the 8 thousandths of a second that he lost out to Charles Milesi. But he is ahead of all his key championship rivals. Christian Lundgaard starting 5th on the grid. He's the driver that didn't lead the championship going into last weekend at Silverstone, but he had difficult weekend there. But he's 5th on the grid for this one. Lorenzo Colombo, the Italian driver for JD Motorsport, completing the 3rd row of the grid, lines up 6th. Neil Verhagen, number 21 for Tech 1 Racing, and Max de Fornay for MP Motorsport line up then on the 4th row of the grid. Max Futrell, who has also been a front runner in the championship this year, but has had a real up and down season so far, but he's been a race winner, and he could be one worth watching from 9th on the grid. And then Logan Sargent, another key championship contender in the number 2 RHGP car, only lining up in 10th place. Your first chance then on the formation lap to take a look at this stunning setting as they climb uphill now and just get their minds tuned in. The run out of Saint-Devote up through Beau Rouge, through the left-hander at Massenet, that right-hander through Casino, which has got a very bumpy exit when you'll see them attacking that at full speed. They go to the right at Mirabeau, and then it's down into the slowest corner on any lap in any of the circuits on the calendar this year. The left-hand lows hairpin out of first gear for that. Through turn 8, 48, a tight exit there, but you've got to be on the throttle very quickly to go through the tunnel now, which Charles Rougier was telling me yesterday. That's the one part of the circuit that really sort of took his breath away first time he tackled it going through there. The light change apparently is not too bad for the drivers. Frank Bird telling me yesterday, it looks quite glaring when they come out of the tunnel if you see any footage from an onboard camera, but of course the human eye can adjust to light much more quickly than a camera. We're talking thousandths of a second. But it's not too bad, the glare through there. The chicane after it is quite slippy, I'm told. Maybe that's to do with the fact that it's the first bit of the track after the tunnel that's exposed to the sea, salty sea air from the Mediterranean. But the rest of the circuit is a very smooth circuit. Arthur Rougier saying to me, you know, at Pau, it's bumpy, it's a proper street circuit. There are drains, there are bumps, cracks on the surface. Here it's like a proper racetrack surface, very, very smooth indeed. So Chris Hartley here to talk you through the action. It is buzzing in the town. I walked from where I parked the car on the other side of Monte Carlo, a good 40-45 minute walk to the paddock for Formula Renault, which is way away from the central Formula 1 paddock, but all the streets have been shut down, turned into venues for vending. We've got one starting in the pit lane here, which is Clement Novalak. So Novalak looks like he's going to start in the pit lane. Unfortunately for him, the rookie to this championship, who's come directly from a karting background, but he was due to start at the back row anyway in 27th position. So a real buzz. Everybody out in the street cafes. It's a spotless place, Monaco and Monte Carlo, as you can imagine. Pretty highbrow, high-end shops as well. Everybody's smartly dressed. Everybody here, though, to watch this latest adventure in the Formula Renault Eurocup. We go racing, a 25-minute plus 1 lap race. Peyronie gets off to a terrific start, and then tucking in behind him, Charles Milesi is going to cover off the ground. going into turn 2. Victor Martins has held the station in 3rd. Yvier running behind in 4th place. It looks like Lundgaard has stayed in 5th place. So it's a good, clean start for everybody in the race so far as they head up through Beau Rivage for the first time into Massenet now. Blind entry through there and into Casino. Look at the bump on the exit here as they go wide. They've got to be careful of that. And then it's downhill into the next braking zone through the right-hander and down towards this famous hairpin. Down to 1st gear here now then. Peyronie with a very, very good start to the race. Yvier having to defend here. Neil Verhagen trying to come around the outside. It's his only option to try and gain places. The New York-born driver who lives in Holland has been contact further back. Looks like Sami Taufik coming together with one of the Renault Sport Academy drivers. On the middle of the pack, yellow flags waved. There's a roadblock here. Selects reverse gear. It's Arthur Rougier, who loves this place, loves driving around here, as you can imagine, but just hasn't, he said, been able to quite hook it up together so far. Charles Milesi certainly hooked it up yesterday in qualifying to get that new lap record. He said he had no real expectation of being on pole position after the practice sessions, where he was a bit off the pace, and he said he was too conservative. You've got to push for those barriers. Got to take the risks to get a good lap time around here and make this narrow circuit as wide as you can. A replay of this incident down into the Lowe's hairpin. Oh, there was contact further back into the back of Rougier. That was one of, was either Thomas Neubauer or Frank Bird. I think it might have been Frank Bird, unfortunately, with the nose missing on the 24 car. And then there was a concertina effect further up through the hairpin. And then Rougier and Taufik coming together. Rougier ending up stopping on track and causing a bit of a roadblock as we go to the 2nd lap of the race. Slightly shorter races here at Monaco than we have for the rest of the calendar, but I don't think the drivers will mind. Certainly Peyronie will not mind, because it's going to be hard work this. There is no respite around the circuit whatsoever. It was Thomas Neubauer, not Frank Bird, so Frank's had enough bad luck in the last couple of weeks. He was quick at Silverstone and got taken out twice in the opening laps of the races in his home country. He was just behind that, but it was his teammate Thomas Neubauer who suffered a 4-place grid penalty for this one after contact at Silverstone. That already had a lot of work to do from 21st on the grid. Now has even more work to do from further down if you get going again. Peyronie leading by 1.1 seconds then at the end of that first lap of the race. The rookie Charles Milesi in 2nd position. Did a few races in the Formula Renault Eurocup last year, but Formula 4 is what he concentrated on predominantly in the 2017 season. French Formula 4. Victor Martins behind in 3rd place, making their way through the chicane there. There is the number 4 car of Victor Martins. They're pulling away from the rest of the pack, that is for sure. Victor in the top 6 in the championship. The race leader Alex Peyronie has had a few too many retirements this season. He's had 3 retirements so far this year, but when it goes well, it does go well indeed, as he showed with his 5th place finish at Monza, and a very strong drive there. So Australian leading the way. We're going to get a replay of the start now, which was a very good, clean start from everybody. Nobody really gaining much ground. Nobody, certainly not in the top half of the field, losing out particularly off the line. So they all did themselves justice here on the run into the start. Yvier was the one who probably had most work to do to cover off the line. Christian Lundgaard making sure he got up the inside of Lorenzo Colombo to settle into that 5th place as they went into Santa Vote for the first time in the race. And here then the replay from the tighter angle into the corner. Were there any dramas further back? Actually, no, they were incredibly well behaved, so well done, everybody. Arthur Rougier, we saw in strife at the hairpin, has now had to come in for possibly a nose change and definitely a check of the suspension at the front of the car. Meanwhile, Alex Peyronie continues to march on here. That incident is going to be investigated after the race, it says there on the screen. So the 18-year-old Tasmanian leading the way. Took a win at Pau last year as well, so he's had 3 wins around the streets of Pau. Now he leads here in Monaco in front of the glamorous crowd. No more glamorous spectators than you get at Monaco. We're going to get a replay through the chicane of what? Somebody going straight on there and cutting the corner, and it was one of the AVF drivers. It was Lovarez, Xavier Lovarez, the Adrian Vallas run driver. Adrian, former test driver for the Manor Formula 1 team when it existed, and these days, for the last 4 or 5 years or so, running his own team in the Formula Renault Eurocup. So Peyronie marching on here. that victory at Pau last year made him the first Australian to win a race in the Formula Renault Eurocup since a certain Daniel Ricciardo back in 2008. That was the year that Danny finished second in the championship. Of course, Ricciardo will be racing rather more powerful machinery, the Formula 1 Grand Prix here this weekend. So some good, talented young Australian drivers coming up through the ranks. It's a country which has a deep history of providing top-level racing drivers, not just in single seaters in Formula 1, but through, of course, sports car racing and other levels of touring car racing as well. Thomas Maxwell, another Australian out there that's been a very consistent driver this year. He once has been off the podium, staying out of the way there as he's gone back out on the circuit. Absolutely nose to tail here in this battle for second place between Charmelesi, who went up from, I think it was 14th in the championship. After a great weekend at Silverstone, he moved all the way up to 7th place, culminating in that first race victory. We've had 5 different winners from the first 6 races of the championship so far this season. The only driver to win twice has been Max Futrell, currently sits 4th in the championship. UVA is on 88 points. Christian Lundgaard's on 78. Logan Sargent's 3rd on 77. Then it's Futrell 4th on 69. Colombo 61, 5th in the championship. And Victor Martinez, the driver you're looking at there, the yellow number 4 Renault Sport Academy back driver, who is run by the RACE GP squad, is inside the top 6 in the championship. Futrell has set the fastest lap of the race, so he's found a bit of clear space. 1 minute 32.9, and he's made his way up into 8th place now, so he's gained a couple of, well, he's gained 1 position from 9th on the grid. What about Logan Sargent, the other championship front runner, with a slightly disappointing qualifying session? He's actually gone the other way, he's gone backwards down to 11th place, so he's lost 1 position. So Peyronie leads Milesi 2nd, Martinez in 3rd place, UVA in 4th, Christian Lundgaard 5th, Neil Verhagen going well in 6th place, looking for one of his best results of the season here. Max Forney in 7th, more about him in a moment from Silverstone. Max Futrell in 8th, Colombo 9th, and Maxwell again in the points in 10th place. Max Forney, if you were watching the racing last weekend at Silverstone in race 2, you'd have walked away from your screens thinking that Max Forney had a pretty good race too, finishing in 4th place. Unfortunately, he then came to grief with the stewards after the race had finished, because he was adjudged to have set his fastest sector time in a sector where there was a yellow flag being shown on the last lap of the race. It should have been slowed down, and apparently he wasn't, and so he had a 25-second time penalty added on to his time, and the 4th place became a 14th place non-points scoring finish. So Max Forney's frustrating 3rd season in this championship continues, but we all know he's a quick driver, and he's in the points at the moment, currently running in 8th place. In the background, the championship leader, the red number 16 car, the Joseph Kaufmann racing driver in VA, another driver that came up through the French Formula 4 Championship. He won that back in 2016, and his first season in the Renault Eurocup here with us last year. Half the fields have come back for a 2nd season, so it's an experienced field, and you would think that would tell here at somewhere like Monaco, except it's a rookie that is there battling for a podium position in 2nd place. Charmelesi, Victor Martinez right behind him. Is returning though, Alex Peyronie, that has the edge. Now 2.2 seconds clear, just about making his way through the tunnel. Peyronie giving a very insightful guide to a lap around the circuit, pointing out all the bumps, all the areas you've got to look out for. And he said that turn 8, as you make your way out through Portier towards the tunnel, that's a very tight exit there, and he came to grief at that corner last year. So pushing hard. He says there's actually a couple of places where you can afford to just rub against the barrier, but it's not really worth the risk, understandably so. So pushing hard here then through the swimming pool chicane as they make their way towards the ends of the lap. Incredibly physical and hot conditions here as well for these drivers. And just look how close they get to those barriers, not just once or twice, but all the time, consistently pushing it on. Another lap completed then as they head back towards Sandovo, and Peyronie's got the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 32.493 second lap. 2nd, Charmelesi is being kept honest here. He knows he's got the pole position and another chance for victory tomorrow, but he says, you know, the work is only just beginning tomorrow from pole position. I've got to get a good start, I've got to be consistent, and I'm not going to hit anything, he said. So Milesi well aware of the perils and the pitfalls that you potentially have here around the streets of Monte Carlo. Victor Martinez is keeping him very honest here through first gear Lowe's hairpin towards Poitiers they now come. The gap between them has never really been more than a car's length, but trying to find a way through. As we know, that Monte Carlo is difficult, and there were several drivers I spoke to yesterday who'd had a bad qualifying session or a disappointing qualifying session. And while racing drivers never give up, they already knew that the likelihood of getting a good result here when you've got a low grid position is so difficult. So such a crucial qualifying session yesterday. A couple of drivers coming off and a few off in practice as well as they found the limits. There are extremely expensive yachts moored up all the way around the port here in Monte Carlo. It's almost like a car park full of as you look out from the Formula Renault paddock. Absolutely pitched up everywhere, so it's a unique atmosphere, this place. It's a beautiful setting into the side of the mountains as well, and some of the mountain roads as you come out of Monaco and head back towards Nice are absolutely breathtaking as you drive through. As I say, it's a real buzz in the city here. There's Neil Verhagen, number 21, having a good run here, but under a bit of pressure from Max de Fornay. There they are. They come through in 6th and 7th positions respectively. Just behind them in the background, a glimpse there of Max Futrell, who has been flying along very nicely indeed. He's just set his personal best lap time, in fact, last time around. But he's on a very similar pace to the two ahead of him. They're both doing all doing 1 minute 32.5. The race leader, 1 minute 32.3. He's a couple of tenths quicker than most out there. Melez is just at a 1:32.4. Martin's had a slightly slower lap with a 1 minute 32.8 last time around, so maybe he had a glitch somewhere. But the gap suddenly just opening up a little bit between second and third. This, though, the squabble for 6th place that you're looking out for now. Neil Verhagen had a battling performance to get into the points in race 1 at Silverstone last weekend, which culminated in a little bit of contact with Alexander Smoliar, but it was seen as a racing incident. There was no penalty applied, and Neil took away a hard-earned single point. He just missed out on the points in race 2, coming home in the end in 12th place once Max de Fornay had his penalty applied to him. So Neil, currently the Red Bull Junior driver, sitting in 14th place in the championship standings. He's been very consistent and he's finished most races, but so far his best result still was that very first race of the season at Le Castellet, the Paul Ricard circuit, where he finished in 7th place out of Saint-Verde Cup, climbing up hills. Very difficult to break into that first corner. Alex Peyronie's been saying it's bumpy, sort of twisting left and right as you hit the brakes, and it's so key to get a good exit from there because you've got this uphill climb all the way up through the next section of circuit, all the way up towards the casino right-hander. That's the famous Monte Carlo casino. Back then down through Mirabeau. Track really falls away here, so it's tricky to get the car slowed down for this tight hairpin because all the weight is transferred over the front of the car. The rear of the car becomes very light indeed. We are into the second half of the race. Peyronie, Melez, Martinez, the 3 drivers on for a podium. There you see the rest of the drivers inside the points. Currently Logan Sargent just outside the points. The driver that runs near the front of the championship table through the port chicane. The tighter of the 2 chicanes, the swimming pool chicane, is easy, Alex Peyronie says. It's taken absolutely flat out. They don't even ease up through there, using all the curbs, as you can see, pushing hard through there towards Raskas now. This tight right-hander climbing uphill once more through the final turn. And Anthony No getting a bit of traction loss there, laying down the rubber of the Michelin tyres. The Formula Renault driver marches on. The fact for Monaco, or one of them, is that no driver in Formula Renault has ever won from lower down than pole position. So every race here so far, since we came back here a few years ago, has been won from pole position. Super slow-mo there of Peyronie, driving masterfully so far. Great shot, looking almost right into the eyeballs of the 18-year-old. Incredible car control from him. It's controlled aggression, isn't it, from Alex Peyronie? You can see he's pushing hard, but you can also see that he is smooth. He's not getting the car loose at all. It's all starting to bunch up again for 2nd place. And there's the 6th place battle, still nose to tail between de Fornay and Verhagen. I'd be slightly nervous if I was Neil Verhagen, because look at that. Verhagen almost getting touched there by Defournet, squeezing out the inside. There is contact this time through Portier. Defournet's having a go. He's had a couple of nibbles here. Max Futrell is right on the tail of them as they now go into the tunnel. This is going to be fun and games down at the chicane. Can Futrell find a way through as the road blocked? Defournet's got his nose in front here. Verhagen's not going to give the corner up though. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? Round the outside, but over the curbs goes into sixth place Max Defournet. If anybody was going to have a go in this race, it was going to be Max. He's not shy in coming forward. He's a very entertaining driver to watch. And it all began really on the exit to the Lowe's hairpin. And look how quickly Max Futrell was able to catch them up. He was, what, 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds behind them when they started fighting each other. They got him right with them now. So 6th, 7th and 8th together. There was that contact at Portier, but it was slight. And hopefully, therefore, both cars will be fine to continue. Neil Verhagen getting pushed down to 7th place, having to be careful on the mirrors now because Max Futrell is on a march forward as well. Meanwhile, Alex Peyronie showing that there's plenty of life left in his tyres because he's just done another fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 32.079. Verhagen cut in, and there was quite a heavy impact actually on the front wing first time around. Then into Portier they touched again, but it was wheel to wheel. There's that first impact that I'd be slightly worried about because from Max Defournet's point of view, the front wing took quite a clatter. It's amazingly low, it still looks okay and has stayed on. And well, even if he's struggling and going slower, as Neil Verhagen gives him a love tap coming out of the hairpin, even if he is struggling and going a bit slower, of course, for them all to try and find a way past him, it's going to be interesting now. I've got the sense that it's not all well behind the cockpit with Max, because perhaps of that contact, he hasn't exactly streaked away, has he, from Neil Verhagen, and it's starting to get a bit of a queue formed up behind them as well, with Lorenzo Colombo and Thomas Maxwell about to join, and not far behind them you've got Logan Sargent and Alex Vartanian, 11th and 12th, coming up to have a look as well. So terrific battle here. Look at that scene. It's unique, isn't it? It's a real thrill for these drivers here as they soak up the atmosphere. Very, very cool. They said to me it's very cool being here. But also, it's just part of the championship for them as Defournet goes out wide there through Saint-Devote, but struggling with understeer now. I wonder if it's to do with that front wing, because it's becoming a bit of a mobile chicane. They're all queuing up behind him now. It's going to be a busy, busy run to the 7.5 minutes plus that he's got to go to the end of this race. And now he's locking up. He's definitely struggling, and he twitches wide again. And Neil Verhagen is going to get the better run now, coming out of Saint-Devote, climbing up the hill. And it's a blind entry into the left-hander coming up. You've got Colombo attacking Futrell just behind as well for 8th position. Verhagen, brave stuff around the outside. Terrific move. He's done it. He makes it stick. He gets his place back into 6th position. He goes. Defournet, he daren't go offline, because if he loses one place, he might lose 6 or 7 here. They're so tightly queued up behind him. Max Futrell will be desperate to get through. Defournet walking wounded in the car. I suspect it's a brave fight for him though. There is Logan Sargent in the number 2 car. Alex Vartanian, the Russian driver just behind, who's proven that he's a front-running driver as well when it's all working for him. And they're all trying to come back from disappointing grid and qualifying positions, which they're all pretty much going to have to do again tomorrow, barring grid penalties and so forth. They're all going to be, you know, at the tail end of the top 10 once again as Max Futrell now gets the better run. Big lockup from Defournet. Around the outside goes Futrell, and the 2-time race winner this year gains 7th place. Not bad at all from 10th on the grid. You can see it there from that head-on shot. That front left corner of the front wing on Defournet's car is scraping now. It's getting lower and lower and lower, and it's causing him to lock up, it's causing him to understeer, and it was because of that first bit of contact that he had with Verhagen. There was another bit after that, and then look, it's just backed everybody up completely here. It's good news this for everybody ahead of Max Defournet, because they're just going to be able to leave behind all the pressure that's coming from everybody else. So, 2nd and 3rd you are looking at Charles Milesi and Victor Martins. The gap between them, 0.4 of a second as they cross the line. VA just behind has got Christian Lundgaard much closer to him. Lorenzo Colombo is another driver that, as we saw at the opening round at Paul Ricard, is brave at coming through as well. So too Thomas Maxwell, and it's Maxwell that's going to get there first at the head of the group. So he now gets past Defournet. Colombo will be next to have a go. So Maxwell with a good move there around Max Defournet, who already, look, has lost 2 or 3 lengths as to go into the braking zone down through the Lowe's hairpin. This right-hand kick is where it all started for him. The trouble with that contact with Neil Verhagen, who he can't even see now so far up the road as he gone since getting his 6th place back. So Peyronie leads, Molesi in second, Martins in third, Ye in fourth, Lundgaard in fifth, Verhagen in sixth, Futrell seventh, Defournet is down another position there into ninth place. So he's still just about in the points, but look at the queue behind him. Next one in line, the 61 car of Lorenzo Colombo, waiting to find his opportunity. Then it's Logan Sargent, who would be relatively pleased if he could get a point from this race. After qualifying, turn 8 incident involving Defournet and Verhagen is going to be investigated after the race, it says. So, wow, what a race it's been so far. Defournet has got plenty of experience in Formula Renault cars, more than pretty much everybody out there. It's to say it's his third season in the Formula Renault Eurocup. He also had a couple of seasons in other Formula Renault Championships, the Northern European Championship prior to that. So he knows these cars and this machinery very well indeed, as Lorenzo Colombo now gets a run. It's out of Saint Devote, where he's really struggling at the start of the lap to get the power down and to get the car turned in, and it's killing his speed up the hill. This time though he survives through Massenet and Casino. Look at him taking defensive inside lines here. Colombo desperate to get through, but also mindful of the fact that he's got the queue behind him, ready to pounce. No opportunity on the way into the hairpins. Good defensive driving this from Max Defournet. Slider lock up there from the Italian driver Colombo, third in the Italian Formula 4 Championship last year. Now that front runner from that championship that comes through into Formula Renault UK this season. Race has flown by, just over 3.5 minutes, plus 1 lap to go. There, the rest of the runners you can see in the field, some of them 38, 39 seconds back now. If you get stuck behind a slower driver, very hard to come through. Colombo takes to the curbs now as Defournet goes defensive once again. Logan Sargent trying to find a way through, then trying to defend his own position from Montagnan. Second and third coming through to complete another lap. Charmelesi doing a super job here, and while the points weren't exactly flowing for him in the first couple of events of the season, certainly at Monza he showed that he was a driver struck with plenty of potential, and it felt like a matter of time before the results would start to come. And indeed at Silverstone, that was the weekend that it all clicked together for him. 7th in race 1, but then a terrific victory in race 2, which he dominated really in Formula Renault Eurocup terms, won by a couple of seconds, biggest gap that we've had in a race victory for anybody so far this season. And he controlled the pace and he looked comfortable at the head of the field. Defournet's fallen away from this little pack again, hasn't he? And Vartanyan's got ahead of Colombo as a result of Colombo being frustrated, I think. So it's now Logan Sargent that's got to the head of the group behind Max Defournet, the number 2 car. He is in the points now, so 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and everybody else you're looking for here in this group of cars. Max Defournet battling away to hold on to 9th position. 1 minute 32.2 last time around for Alex Peyronie. He's still absolutely flying at the head of the field. He's not relenting at all. And it's going to be, what, a 4th victory around a street race for him. 2 at Pau, not in the Formula Renault Eurocup, but a few weeks ago as a test run, a dry run for this through the Northern European Championship. There's Colombo going straight on at the chicane. Smoliar just in the background as well, and Oscar Piastri trying to find a way past him in the Arden car, but not able to do so through that swimming pool. And I was swimming there when I was about 12 years of age, not on a Grand Prix weekend, just came here for the day. Great pool, it's a massive, I think it's an Olympic-sized pool, that, and not as expensive as you'd think to get into, at least it wasn't back then. So an iconic scene here, and that's a great shot, isn't it, as they come thundering through the final turn, as close as you like to the barriers. Digging in here, Defournet to defend. It was attacking first up that we enjoyed watching him attack Neil Verhagen. Neil Verhagen fans wouldn't have enjoyed that too much, certainly the contact they wouldn't have enjoyed. It was typical Max Defournet really, the long-haired Belgian pushing hard, and now the rest of the race he's had to be on the back foot, and he's done a very good job of defending. Yes, a few have got through, but when you consider the state of the front wing of his car, it could have been a lot worse. If he can cling on to some points, it'd be a real result for him. But Logan Sargent trying to come around the outside now. Thomas Neubauer being lapped there by the race leader, Alex Peyronie. Neubauer in strife as we saw at the start of the race. So just 30-odd seconds left on the clock now. And Peyronie, well, to the human eye anyway, it looks like he's been flawless to me. He hasn't put a wheel wrong anywhere, and that is shown by the fact that he leads here by 3.9 seconds pushing on the ragged edge. Now he's going to cross the line with still time left on the clock. The MP Motorsport team there, the Dutch team who run. They've got a couple of quick drivers. They'll be hoping for high things this year because they've got Alex Peyronie and they've also got Max de Fourne. So two pretty experienced drivers for the Dutch team this year. Sander Dorsman's squad, who have celebrated more than 10 years of this championship now. It was 2008 they first came into the championship. They actually won on their first ever Formula Renault Eurocup race back with Paul Meyer, their first ever event, and competing in high levels of single-seater racing in Formula 2 and GP3. They also do Formula 4, so it's a very experienced squad. And Oliver Rowland back in 2013 as a title contender in this championship. And it's their driver Alex Peyronie that continues to lead the race here at the moment. Peyronie's best results hitherto this season, a 5th place finish at Monza. He had a 7th place finish in the second race at Paul Ricard. They've actually only been his only point scoring finishes, his only top 10 finishes this year, but hasn't been a reflection of how quick a driver he is, and he'll be hoping to get the season up and running. He put a couple of good results together in this championship, and he can suddenly rocket up the championship table, as Charles showed last weekend, because nobody really, other than Yeffier, is stringing together seriously consistent results. He is Mr. Consistent now. He has been on the podium and in the points in every race bar one. That's where he had a coming together with Max Futrell at Monza, and they both dropped down the order, and he got a penalty afterwards as well to drop him out of the points. So as they start the final lap of the race, Yeffier will be okay, I think, with being in 4th place, because he's got all his key championship rivals behind him. Lundgaard, Sargent, Futrell, Colombo, they're all behind him. They're all losing points to him. Max Futrell has just crossed the line in 7th place. He's getting closer to the tail of Neil Verhagen. He was a second back 2 laps ago. He's now just 0.6 of a second back, but Neil Verhagen's just got to be defensive and not make any mistakes on this final lap of the race. Now is Alex Peyronie. See, Thomas Neubauer's pace is pretty good, actually. He's been lapped, but 2nd and 3rd still haven't come up to lap him. So it shows that on another day it might have been a much better weekend for Thomas Neubauer had he not had the dramas in qualifying at the start of the race. Through the tunnel for the final time then for Alex Peyronie. Can't really see anything in his mirrors now because he's so far clear of the field, other than Thomas Neubauer, the driver that he's lapped. You have to wait there eventually in 2nd and 3rd into the chicane. You can just see in the background Charles ahead of Victor Martins. Through then for the final time, the chicane. Just a couple of corners to come after this. It's towards back and Raskas now, and Anthony on the final corner to come, and the checkered flag is in sight. And here he comes for MP Motorsport. Alex Peyronie once again is the street king. He takes the checkered flag and wins here in Monaco. Terrific drive. And 2nd and 3rd, Charles and Victor Martins shadowing each other all the way around. 2nd and 3rd, MP Motorsport celebrate their first win of the season. That's our 6th different winner of the year so far. Years crossed the line in 4th, Lundgaard in 5th. There, Verhagen in a strong 6th place finish, his best result so far this year. Max Futrell will be relatively satisfied. Relatively, because Max wants to win all the time, but relatively satisfied, I think, with 7th place. Thomas Maxwell in the points again in 8th place. That good move around the outside of Max de Fourne to get him there. And de Fourne's going to hang on to some points here. Don't look in the mirrors, because it's a scary sight. Just look at the checkered flag, and he's made it home. Damaged front wing or not, Max de Fourne picks up 9th place. Logan Sargent in 10th. The incident between de Fourne and Verhagen is going to be investigated after the race, but as it stands, de Fourne 9th, Logan Sargent sneaks into the points in 10th place, and Vartanian 11th, Colombo 12th, Piastri 13th, for sure 14th, Smoliar across the line 15th, Loverat 16th, Hahn in what I think is the season's best in 17th place, the Brazilian driver who's had no real pre-season testing. He missed the first round of the championship, but pretty good result there in his first time at Monaco for the Brazilian. In the midfield, 17th, Mathieu's 18th, Razak 19th, Guzman rounding out the top 20. Munoz was 21st, Bird 22nd, Martinez 23rd, Surtees was 24th, Novalap for the pit lane 25th, Neubauer a lap down in 26th, Rouget a lap down in 27th place, and a non-finish classified, I'm afraid, for Sami Taufik. And Alex Peyronie with the fastest lap of the race. There then is your race winner, and a race victory in the Formula Renault Eurocup is always going to live long in the memory, but to win here, it's a driver's dream. If you ask any racing driver, okay, pick 3 tracks where you would most like to get a race victory, and surely Monte Carlo and part of the Monaco Formula 1 Grand Prix weekend would be, if not at the top of the list, somewhere in that top 3. So his second victory in the Formula Renault Eurocup. The first one came around the streets of Pau last year, and this time it's around the streets of Monaco that the Australian succeeds, and he's going to be on the front row of the grid tomorrow as well. He's soaked it up, hasn't he, on this slowing down lap? Luck, because Milesi and Martins are already back. They certainly played their part in this race. Martins with a strong battling performance, but he didn't take any unnecessary risks, so rookie's there second and third. The top rookie will come onto the podium as always, but most of the time this season the rookie's been there in the top 3 anyway. Yes, he screams. Alex Peyronie runs to the team like a man who's been sat in an armchair having to relax for the last half an hour, rather than somebody who's been tested physically and mentally. He's full of energy. He leapt over the marshals, some of whom can see the funny side, some of whom got a bit shoulder barged there. But you can see how much that means to both driver and team. The team's a word for them as well. They have been working their socks off for the last couple of weeks, because they went to Silverstone, they packed up Sunday afternoon, they're in the trucks heading straight to Monaco. 2-day drive for the truckers to get here. And setting up on Wednesday, then testing on Thursday. There's Charles Milesi, who definitely is a star of the future, the RSGP driver, with another podium finish for the team. He's got a very strong driver lineup this year. Max Futrell, one of their drivers, of course, as well. Thibaut Merindol and Cyril Comte founding the team. There's Victor Martins in the front of your picture. We'll see the smile on his face now. Alex Peyronie. Terrific drive by him. Couldn't fault it at all. And, well, if he can just apply this, whatever it is, this magic that he has around these street circuits to some of the circuits for the rest of the calendar, you better watch out for him, because surely if you can drive around here, you can drive. You can drive anywhere. Excellent stuff by him. And he becomes a winner at this venue. One of the winners last year was Sasha Fenastres, who was went on to win the title. We saw, just before we started to come on air, pictures of him on the grid here in his capacity as an ambassador for Renault as well. Marie-Hélène Deboudet there, who organises the drivers, getting them up to what's going to be a very special podium for them, the Formula 1 podium, and it is a very glamorous podium indeed for them. Just try and soak up every moment of this. They've got the rest of the day off as well, these drivers, because the race, the first thing is out on track today. The later start for them tomorrow, it's the race before the Grand Prix, so no pressure. But they're going to be leading the way for Formula 1 cars coming out tomorrow. And there he is, Alex Peyronie, Monaco winner. Sort of takes a deep breath there, doesn't he? Just sort of not a sigh of relief, because I think he knew he could win, but just to be up there and have got the job done, terrific stuff. And if you can't be on the top step of the podium, at least be on the podium. So great moments too for Martins and Milesi. Milesi to the left, Martins to the right of your picture. And we get the trophy presentations now with the top 3, and for the winning rookie. And Alex Peyronie takes a very special additional Monaco bit of silverware, and that's going to go right to the top of the mantelpiece, isn't it? Right, don't drop them, Alex. And so handshakes all round from the dignitaries here on the podium, and we'll have our winning team represented as well, there to the left of the picture, MP Motorsport. So winning trophies presented now. The second place trophy goes to Charles Milesi. 2 visits to the podium in 2 races. It is starting to come together nicely for this young Frenchman. Very likeable, unassuming driver, and a very quick one. Second place here to follow on from the victory at Silverstone a few weeks ago. And we'll now get our 3rd place trophy presented to his teammates, Victor Martins for the RSGP squad, And Victor with a very strong drive there, certainly pushing all the way there. The driver ahead of him, Charles Milesi. So the rookie with his first podium finish of the year, in fact his best result previously being a 4th place finish in round 2 at Le Castellet. But he's been Mr. Consistent recently. The only race he hasn't been in the points was the first race of the season, where he finished just outside the points in 11th. His results now, since then, read 4th, 6th, 5th, 6th, 6th, and now 3rd. So Victor Martins is starting to string together that sort of consistent run that you really need. So in addition to the slightly out of order presentation of the trophies, in addition to the Renault trophies that they always get, they get a special Monaco trophy as well. There's the car that took him to the victory. The winning team, of course, is the Dutch squad MP Motorsport. They too get an extra bit of silverware unique to Monaco, and raising that aloft now. MP Motorsport with their first victory here. Will Palmer and Sacha Van Astres were winners here last year. Will Palmer with the RSGP squad. Joseph Kaufman Racing took Sacha Van Astres to his victory. And now the Australian national anthem. The Australian national anthem plays on. And the applause will break out. The smiles are already breaking out for Alex Peyronie. Job well done. Can he do it again tomorrow from the front row of the grid? The driver next to him there, Charles Milesi, to the left of your picture, will be on pole position tomorrow. He was the fastest overall in qualifying, so subject to anybody picking up grid penalties, the rows of the sides of the grid will be swapped around. So Milesi will be on pole. He will be starting behind him 3rd on the grid. Colombo starting 5th on the grid. So tomorrow it's going to be Milesi on pole, Peyronie 2nd, Yeh 3rd, Martins 4th. Colombo starts 5th, Lundgaard starts 6th, Defournet 7th, Verhagen will start 8th, Sargent and Futrell 9th and 10th on the grid. Provisionally, champagne time. It's a bit early in the morning for it. They don't care. It's all in his eyes. It'll sting a bit, but what a day it's been for Alex Peyronie and the MP Motorsport squad, picking up his first win of the season, and really he hopes getting his campaign underway. First Formula Renault Eurocup win, not forgetting of course those 2 wins in the Formula Renault Northern European Championship at Pau just a few weeks ago. That's going to move him up the championship table. Yeh will continue to extend his points advantage though with that 4th place finish. The 12 points that he gets for that will now move him on to 100 points, I reckon, provisionally. So the dignitaries now make their way, and having had to drive quite a drive from the Formula Renault paddock, actually driving through the streets of Monaco to get from the Formula Renault paddock to their own paddock. They're now going to find their way back over there to the press conference. Peyronie then makes his way, silverware, clutch tight. Victor Martins as well, and Charles Milesi. You've got a bit of a soak in there with the champagne by the looks of it. So they're all congratulated. They have to make their way back, and we get to enjoy some of the scenes of celebration and the congratulations. Sander Dorsman there to the right of the picture, the MP Motorsport team boss. And there is an iconic view of this wonderful street circuit. Well, it's dished up a very entertaining first race for us there. You can see confirmation of the provisional results off the screen. Alex Peyronie for MP Motorsport winning by over 4 seconds from, that's the biggest win of the season so far in terms of distance. Milesi 2nd for RSGP, Martins and then Yeh 4th, Lundgaard 5th, Verhagen 6th, Futrell 7th, Maxwell 8th, Defournet 9th, Sargent in the points in 10th, 4 rookies in the top 10, quite impressive that. Vartanyan in 11th and Colombo just outside the points in the end in 12th place. He fell back when he was in that train behind Max de Fournet, and it looked like he was going to be in the points, but it didn't work out, I'm afraid, for him. Oscar Piastri has been consistent this year as well, off the back of his 4th place finish, where he was promoted last weekend in race 2 to Silverstone ahead of de Fournet, 4th last weekend, but only 13th. For sure, a frustrating season so far. 14th, Smoliar, 15th, disappointing for him too. He's been a front runner this season, but most of them made it home, albeit with a couple of visitors to the pits in Norbauer and Rougier, who fell a lap down, and Sami Taufik, who got caught up, tangled up in that hairpin incident on lap 1, the only driver not to finish the race. So we'll start to round up the coverage now with some super slow-mos. There, Victor Martins coming home in 3rd place, chasing all the way home to the checkered flag. Charles Milesi has been one of our race winners this year, but none of them could keep up with this young man, Alex Peyronie, a very deserving and impressive race winner here around the streets of Monte Carlo. Another race to come tomorrow. Yes, it's just another race. Yes, it's just another 25 championship points, but it's something more special than that. We all know it, and the drivers certainly all know it. Alex Peyronie, if he can get to sleep tonight, will sleep well, and he'll dream about his victory here at Monte Carlo. So we look forward to doing it all again tomorrow. Thank you for your company here at Monaco, and we'll just take a look back now at some of the highlights. That was the key moment, really, wasn't it? This nibble that we had between de Fournet and Verhagen. That was the second bit of contact. The bit of contact just before that was the one that did the damage to the front wing of de Fournet. Didn't stop him getting through. There was a 3rd bit of contact through the tunnel as tyres rubbed again. Hairy moments. Neil Verhagen was given a bit of rough treatment there. De Fournet came through, had to go over the chicane in the end. Futrella caught up to them both. And this is the moment that he got his nose in front. Look at it, thudding all over the curbs there. Verhagen, despite the contact, seemed that his car survived and was okay. But that was the damage to the front wing and getting even more of a battering as he hit the curbs, which you have to do around the chicanes to get a quick lap time. So, in a sense, it was lucky that it held on. But he did lose positions. He did go backwards. Verhagen got back ahead of him. Futrell got past him, so they moved up to 6th and 7th. Then de Fournet had a real battle on his hands to keep the rest of them at bay and to try at least to finish within the points. And this was Max de Fournet then trying but failing to fend off Max Futrell. Locking up the front left became a regular occurrence with this damage to the front wing. And look at the queue that had formed up behind. It was a battling performance from Max to be able to stay in the points in the end. His front left tyre was getting a real battering. It must have been a difficult car to drive. The RHGP squad there, the reaction as one of their drivers, Max Futrell, got past and gained a good result out of a disappointing qualifying position. Victor Martins there, some shots of him at the start of the race before it all kicked off, and the drivers hydrating, getting ready to go ahead of the race start, which some might have been worried about actually. These young drivers all barrelling into Sandovo for the first time in the race. However, they all did a perfect job really of getting through that first corner. Not everybody manages it. 1 or 2 slips or slides as they got on the power on the cold tyres, but by and large everybody survived. It didn't last long though. We got down to the hairpin and then it all went a little bit wrong in the mid-pat. This is where we had the contact which involved Sami Taufik onto Rougier. Thomas Neubauer losing his part of his front wing there. Taufik carried on. Rougier stopped and had to select reverse and caused a traffic jam behind, which really messed up the race for those behind him. Rougier had to come into the pits to have the suspension checked and the nose changed, and likewise Thomas Neubauer had to come into the pits as well. So they'll hope for better things tomorrow. Mika Hakkinen there, who's one of the stars here this weekend. And driving the stars around here, so former Formula 1 world champion. It's Aaron Eckhart, I reckon, that he's there with, the Hollywood actor, who's going to get a real thrill now with Mika driving around. Mika won't relax either, will he? So that'll be a fantastic opportunity for the American star to be whisked around the circuit by Mika Hakkinen. So that wraps up our coverage from Monaco for the first race of the weekend. Hope you've enjoyed the action. It was a good race and a terrific victory for Alex Peyronie. We'll be on air again tomorrow to talk you through what promises to be another thriller here at Monaco for race 2 of the weekend, round 8 of the Formula Renault Eurocup. From me, Chris Hartley, and the team, thanks for watching. See you again tomorrow.
Okay.
So, reaction, be reactive. Because the guy is really play for race mode with the easy off.
Ah, so it's really easy.
I drifted a little bit because the weight of the counter like that, you will enjoy it.